Hi, this is AJ again. Welcome to the next lesson. This lesson is called Small is Beautiful. Small is Beautiful is the name of a book by E.F. Schumacher. It's a very interesting book. It's a little bit difficult to read. The level of English is actually fairly difficult. But I do recommend it. If you have an advanced level of English, go ahead, try to read Small is Beautiful. It's an excellent book. E.F. Schumacher was an economist, still is an economist. And he wrote Small is Beautiful to talk about the economic problems we have in the world. Now, this book was published back in the late 70s, I believe, and it has been updated more recently. But the basic idea of Small is Beautiful is that our economies in the world, our big businesses, have become too big, and they are not sustainable anymore. Too big. In other words, we're destroying the planet Earth because we are consuming too much. Our economies are too big, our population too big, our companies too big, everything has grown too large. And his solution, as you might guess, is that we need smaller economies, more local economies, more green economies. So he was writing about this long before Al Gore and An Inconvenient Truth and a lot of other things which are quite common right now. But he was writing about these things way back in the 70s. He realized that we're going to have to make some changes. Our planet is being destroyed. We have to do something. And we need to start at the economic level. We have to change our economic system so that it is more human, so that it serves human beings, not just super large companies. And of course, he talks about these economies and his solutions in a lot of detail. Like I said, he was an economist. He is an economist. So he has a lot of very detailed economic arguments, and he analyzes things from an economic viewpoint. It's very interesting. Today, I want to read to you just a short passage from his book. And this book and this passage really talk about the key central core problem, in his opinion. What is the most basic problem? What is causing all these economic problems we see in the world, all the environmental destruction, the wars we see constantly? What's the root cause? And let me read from the book right now. Economically, our wrong living consists primarily in systematically cultivating greed and envy, and thus building up a vast array of totally unnecessary wants. It is the sin of greed that has delivered us over into the power of the machine. If greed were not the master of modern man, how could it be that the frenzy of consumerism does not abate at higher standards of living? And that it is precisely the richest societies which pursue their economic advantage with the greatest ruthlessness. How could we explain the almost universal refusal on the part of the rulers of the rich societies to work towards the humanization of work? Soul-destroying, meaningless, mechanical, monotonous, moronic work that is an insult to human nature. These are the facts which are neither denied nor acknowledged, but are met with an unbreakable silence, because to deny them would be too obviously absurd, and to acknowledge them would condemn the central preoccupation of modern society as a crime against humanity. Okay, I told you it'd be difficult, and it is a little difficult. So let me explain a little of what this section means. What is he talking about? So he's saying that our problem, our modern problem economically in life, comes from greed and envy. Greed and envy are the problems. That our societies now cultivate greed and envy. Of course, cultivate means grow. So our societies, our cultures, all over the world are now growing greed and envy. They encourage greed and envy in people. People getting more greedy, more envious, more envious, more envious. And as people become more greedy and envious, they develop a lot of unnecessary wants. They start wanting more, always wanting more. So he said it's this sin, it's greed, this problem of greed that has made us slaves to machines. That's what he's saying. Delivered us into the power of the machine. He's talking about it's made us slaves to our big companies. It's made us slaves to computers, to machines, to this modern life. We're not free anymore because of this greed and envy. And then he says that you see that it's true because the richest countries, the places where people have the most, such as the United States, they are the most ruthless about wanting more and more and more. So, in other words, there is never enough. The richest countries are the most brutal, the most tough, the most ruthless, trying to get even more and more and more. So he's saying it never ends, right? If someone's very rich, then they want even more money. It never stops. And he says the other problem is that people who aren't rich, they are stuck in soul-destroying jobs, that work is mostly meaningless, mechanical, monotonous, and moronic. Moronic means stupid. In most of the world, most jobs, most work is just horrible. Now, you may like your job, but of course, he's thinking about all the thousands of people, for example, in China working in terrible factories. Well, millions, not thousands. Millions and millions. All over the world, poor people working horrible jobs, terrible jobs, soul-destroying jobs, the jobs that destroy their health and their life and their happiness. So he's saying these are facts. Everybody knows they're true, but there's an unbreakable silence about them. So he's saying people don't talk about it. You don't hear about this on the news. People don't talk about all the horrible job and work conditions for most people in most countries. There's silence about it. Nobody talks about it. They don't condemn it because that's absurd. That's crazy. They can't condemn it. They can't say it's not true because everybody knows it is true. But they can't talk about it because then they would condemn the central preoccupation of our society. Preoccupation means what we think about, our goal. So he's saying that everybody just ignores it. We pretend it's not happening. So he's saying this is the problem, the central problem, that we're creating so much greed and envy everywhere, that our whole economic system is driven by greed and envy, that our whole culture, global culture, is based upon greed and envy. And that's what, most advertising's about. That's what most of our whole economic systems and even our governments encourage it. Greed and envy, greed and envy, greed and envy in all our societies. And that it's destroying the planet, it's destroying our culture, it's destroying people and their jobs, it's destroying everything. So that's not a very happy thought, but I think he's probably right. I think we can all see that he's right. Now, luckily, the book is actually very positive. So he's talking about the problem here, and we all can see the problem, and it is a very terrible problem. And we all know that people are suffering everywhere in the world, working these horrible jobs. And we all know that greed and envy are controlling most of our governments, most of our countries, most of our societies. But the good news is that in this book, Small is Beautiful, he has a lot of great solutions about creating local economies that are not based upon greed and envy. And creating sustainable economies, meaning that they can keep going year after year, decade after decade, century after century, without destroying the earth, without destroying people. So this book is a very practical book. He has a lot of very, very practical suggestions on how we can change. So I do highly recommend reading Small is Beautiful by E.F. Schumacher. And if you don't read that, then I hope you will at least start learning more about ecology and the green movement and sustainable economics, because these are very, very important issues to our planet, to everybody living on it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Small is Beautiful. Next is, of course, the vocabulary lesson. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hello, this is AJ. Welcome to Small is Beautiful, the mini story. Take a deep breath, smile, move your body, shoulders back. Let's go. Jeff had great hair. What kind of hair did he have? Great. Jeff had great hair. It was long, blonde, and beautiful. What kind of hair did he have? Well, great hair. Long, blonde, beautiful hair. Who had long, blonde, beautiful hair? Jeff. Jeff did. Jeff had long, blonde, beautiful hair. But there was a problem, of course. Michael envied Jeff's hair. What did Michael do? Michael envied Jeff's hair. What did Michael envy? He envied Jeff's hair. Did he envy Jeff's money? No, not his money. Michael didn't envy Jeff's money. Michael envied Jeff's long, blonde, beautiful hair. Michael wanted great hair also. So did Jeff envy Michael's hair? No, he didn't. Jeff didn't envy Michael's hair. Jeff had great hair. Michael envied Jeff's hair. Why did Michael envy Jeff's hair? Well, because Jeff had long, blonde, beautiful hair, and Michael had no hair. Michael was bald. Every day, Michael thought about Jeff's hair. Michael was totally preoccupied with Jeff's hair. What was Michael preoccupied with? With Jeff's hair. Michael was totally preoccupied with Jeff's hair. Did he think about Jeff's hair all the time? Yes, he was totally preoccupied with Jeff's hair. He thought about Jeff's hair all the time, every day. Who was preoccupied with Jeff's hair? Michael. Michael was preoccupied with Jeff's hair. What was he preoccupied with? Jeff's hair. He was totally preoccupied with Jeff's hair. In fact, his preoccupation would not abate. Did his preoccupation become smaller and smaller, less and less? No. It would not abate. It would not get weaker. It would not get smaller. It would not lessen. Michael's preoccupation would not abate. It did not abate. What didn't abate? Michael's preoccupation. Michael's preoccupation with Jeff's hair did not abate. In fact, it got stronger. Did his preoccupation abate, or did it get stronger? Well, it got stronger. His preoccupation did not abate. His preoccupation got stronger and stronger and stronger. He got more and more envious every day. Who got more and more envious every day? Michael, of course. Michael got more and more envious of Jeff's long, blonde, beautiful hair every day. Was Jeff envious? No, Jeff wasn't envious. Jeff already had beautiful hair. But Michael was envious, and he became more and more envious every day. I want Jeff's hair! I want Jeff's hair! I want Jeff's hair! He got into a frenzy! Who got into a frenzy? Michael. Michael got into a frenzy. He got into a frenzy about what? About Jeff's hair. He got into a frenzy about Jeff's hair. I must have Jeff's hair! I must have Jeff's hair! Ah! Did he get into a frenzy? Yes, he did. He went crazy. He was yelling. He was running around, screaming. I must have Jeff's beautiful hair! I must have Jeff's beautiful hair! Ah! Michael got into a total frenzy about Jeff's hair. Was Jeff in a frenzy? No, Jeff was calm. Jeff already had beautiful hair. He wasn't in a frenzy. Who was in a frenzy? Michael. Michael was in a total frenzy. About what? About Jeff's long, beautiful blonde hair. Michael was in a total frenzy about his hair. He was going crazy about Jeff's hair. Finally, Michael got a big knife. And he went to Jeff's house to cut off Jeff's hair. He was in a frenzy! I'm going to take his hair! What did Michael take to Jeff's house? A big knife. Michael took a big knife to Jeff's house. Why did he take a big knife to Jeff's house? To cut off and take Jeff's hair. He knocked on the door. Jeff opened the door. Michael saw that beautiful hair. He said, I'm going to take your hair. I want your hair. Jeff was calm. Jeff said, "This is absurd. Just buy a wig." What did Jeff say? Jeff said, "This is absurd. Just buy a wig." Did Jeff think Michael was acting crazy and foolish and ridiculous? Yes, he did. He said, "This is absurd. This action, this desire is absurd. It's ridiculous. It's foolish and crazy." What was absurd? Well, Michael's frenzy was absurd. Michael's idea was absurd. Michael's actions were absurd. Crazy and ridiculous. Whose actions were absurd? Michael's actions. Michael's actions were absurd. Were Michael's actions calm and logical? Or were they absurd? They were absurd. Michael's actions, Michael's frenzy was and were absurd. Jeff said, "Michael, this is absurd. Just buy a wig." Michael stopped. He dropped the knife. He thought. He became calm. And then he went to a wig store and he bought a long, blonde, beautiful wig. He walked everywhere wearing his long, blonde, beautiful wig. Everyone loved Michael's new hair. Michael and Jeff became good friends. They were both very happy with their long, blonde, beautiful hair. The end. That is the end of the mini story for Small is Beautiful. Listen to it many times. Big smile when you listen. Move your body when you listen. Breathe deeply when you listen to this mini story. And when you answer, shout your answers. See you next time. Bye-bye. Hi, this is AJ. Welcome to the point of view lesson for Small is Beautiful. Same story, different points of view, different time frames. Let's go. Since they were children, Jeff has always had great hair. And Michael has always been bald. He's never had hair. When Jeff was a baby, he came out with long, blonde, beautiful hair. He has always had long, blonde, beautiful hair. And Michael has always been bald. From when he was a baby until now. And so, Michael has always envied Jeff's hair. Michael has always wanted hair since he was a little baby. He has always wanted to have great hair. He's always wanted to have long, blonde, beautiful hair like Jeff. Michael has been preoccupied with Jeff's hair every day since he was a little child. He has been totally preoccupied with Jeff's hair. since he was a little child. His preoccupation has never abated. Not one day. It has never abated. It has never lessened. It has never gone away. Michael has been preoccupied with Jeff's hair every day. His preoccupation has never abated. In fact, he has gotten more and more envious every day of his life. He has gotten more and more and more envious. Well, one day, Michael finally got into a frenzy. He just went crazy. I must have Jeff's hair! I must have Jeff's hair! Ah! He got into a frenzy on that day. And on that day, he grabbed a big knife. And he went to Jeff's house. He knocked on Jeff's door. Jeff opened the door. And Michael said, I must have your hair! I'm going to cut off your hair! And Jeff said, this is absurd. Just buy a wig. And Michael stopped. Suddenly, his preoccupation with Jeff's hair abated. He dropped the knife and became calm. Then he ran to a wig store and he bought a long, blonde, beautiful wig. And he put it on. And every day he wore it. And everyone loved his new hair. Michael was very happy. And Michael and Jeff became very good friends. The end. Okay, our next version, we're going into the future. So perhaps I'm imagining this story now. I'm imagining this story is going to happen in the future. I'm thinking, maybe in the future, there's this guy named Jeff. There'll be a guy named Jeff. And in the future, this guy's going to have great hair. In fact, he's going to have long, blonde, beautiful hair. And there'll be another guy. This other guy, he'll be named Michael. And Michael will envy Jeff's hair. He's going to be jealous of Jeff's hair. So Michael will envy Jeff's hair. He'll want great hair also. But unfortunately, this guy Michael, he'll be bald. Well, Michael's gonna be preoccupied with Jeff's hair every day. Every day, he'll think about Jeff's hair. And his preoccupation won't abate. It won't abate. It'll never abate. In fact, his preoccupation will get stronger and stronger and stronger. He'll grow more envious every day. Finally, one day in the future, he's gonna get into a crazy frenzy. Ah! I must have Jeff's hair now! He's gonna grab a big knife. And he's gonna walk over to Jeff's house. He'll knock on the door. Jeff will open the door. Michael will say, I must have your hair now! Jeff will say, this is absurd. Just buy a wig. And Michael, he'll stop. His preoccupation will suddenly abate. He'll drop the knife. He'll become calm. Then he'll run to the nearest wig store and he'll buy a long, blonde, beautiful wig and he'll put it on. He's gonna walk around the town with his long, blonde, beautiful wig, and everyone will love his new hair. Michael's gonna be so happy. And then he and Jeff will become very good friends. And that is the end. The point of view lesson for Small is Beautiful. Have a big smile. I hope you are also happy, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.